Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen out there in the internet. Welcome to today's A&D Mortgage webinar. Today, we're going to be covering the topic of dealing with foreign national clients. And today we've got two outstanding speakers. We've got Lucy Mantilla. She is our top account executive who works with foreign nationals. And Julian, I'm going to mispronounce your name. Sorry here.
Mejia.
Mejia.
It's okay, man.
Mejia, he's a loan officer with PRMG. And he works regularly with Lucy on these types of loans. So we thought we would pair the two of them together and share their expertise on this very important topic, particularly in the East Coast, where we have a lot of foreign nationals. All right, let us move to the next slide, please. Okay, so we'll just cover this very quickly. Just some basic etiquette. We do have a chat and a Q&A function at the bottom. So if you guys have questions, we would ask you to reserve them to the end, but you can go ahead and type them as you have them appear in your head. The other thing we would ask is, we know it's a busy time of the month, but go ahead and turn your cell phones off so you can absorb everything that both Lucy and Julian are going to tell us today about foreign nationals. And then to preempt one of our major questions, yes, we are recording this. So if you have arrived late and missed anything, or you just want to have this for posterity's sake, we're recording it and we'll send you a copy of the presentation as well, and some helpful links to some articles that we have about this particular topic. And we'll do that within the next 24 hours. So let's move ahead. And I'll let each of them introduce themselves after I tell you guys a little bit about the company. So for those of you who are joining us who are not our broker partners, we are A&D Mortgage. We've been in business for close to 20 years. We are one of the top non-QM lenders in the country. We also specialize in conventional and government. So you pretty much are going to deal with a one-stop shop. And then behind us is a company called Imperial Fund. They are the company that securitizes the loans that we originate. And because of that, it provides us with a lot of flexibility in terms of our underwriting, particularly in non-QM space, and then in determining the amount of risk that we're willing to take on borrowers. So we're able to sometimes, increase our loan amounts, change LTVs a little bit more if we feel more comfortable with a borrower than some other lenders might. But ideally, that you will not want to look at another lender after you listen to us today. So we'll skip what makes us different. Lucy can talk about that a little more in detail towards the end. And then, so we are licensed in 38 states. We actually just got our license for the state of Iowa last week. And then we've got the capability of doing business loans without a license in 40 different states. And you can peruse the chart at your leisure afterwards. And we also do some retail lending, and we do some correspondent lending as well. Let's go ahead to the next slide. And we'll go ahead now and let Julian and Lucy take on the topic of working with foreign nationals. Take it away, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Carl.
You're welcome.
And good afternoon. Welcome our brokers that always register for our seminars, and welcome to the new brokers and the processing team that join us today in our seminar. I'm happy to participate today and talk about one of the 3 top programs that we offer on our wholesale channel to our approved brokers, which is the foreign national. And it's a pleasure to be with Julian Mejia, one of the top loan originators and foreign national loans for PRMG. Well, so what is a foreign national? A foreign national is a non-U.S. citizen who is authorized to live in the U.S. Temporarily. And this, we're including investors, foreign national investors. And we have a list on our guidelines, which I recommend you to get in contact with your account executive, because we have a list of a lot of type of visa that are included into a foreign national borrower. Next slide.
All right, so hi guys, it's Julian. So welcome to the webinar. It's a pleasure to be here, and we'll teach you guys a little bit more of the insights upon the the foreign national market, which it's one of the biggest markets that you could really tap into, just because, well, you meet a lot of great people, great for networking, and also, well, great to make deals. So now let's talk about why is it the U.S. is a great place to invest. As itself, we all know that the U.S. is one of the most strongest economies in the world, with a stable, well, currency and also stable market when it comes to real estate. For example, we work here in Florida a lot with people from Central America and South America as itself. And as you guys do know, that there's a lot of political and also economy problems down in those countries. So the people that are having their portfolio wanting to be diversified, they want to bring it to the States just because not only are they locking in their liquid assets into a stable currency, but they're also earning in dollars instead of pesos. And it's a lot better to earn in dollars and pesos, let me just tell you. So not only that, also the education in which you could serve to your family, so they can live a stable and, well, prosperous life when it comes to their investing. And also the states also offers a safe haven for tax purposes, for them to be able to, well, have their portfolio of businesses and also their assets. Okay, so on to the next slide. Yeah, so the challenges that we normally will see that foreign nationals face, not really credit history. It's mostly just on the currency exchange risk and also on the down payment, most than anything. Why? Because these foreign nationals are bringing their liquid assets in their foreign currency of their home countries into, well, a more valued currency, that's the dollar. Okay, so when it comes to the down payment side, a lot of these borrowers do have their assets in their foreign country instead in the States. What we highly recommend is for every foreign national to be able to, when they come on vacation, to open up a domestic account. It could be on their personal name or also a corporation name. I highly recommend the corporation because at the end of the transaction, we always recommend for them to be able to close on the property under a corporation. This could help them out with their liability purposes, for their tax purposes, and also to cover themselves for any legal, well, procedure. A lot of these foreign nationals that are coming into the States, they're not only seeking and investing into a property, they're also seeking into investing into their future with their family or just themselves here in the States. And as we do know that it's very important for a person in the States to be able to grow, it's to have a credit history, to have a cash flow, and to have a company in which they could, well, do business with. So that initial company will lead them into to be able to grow their business here in the States and have a future in the credit history that they could acquire. Yeah, so we can go to the next slide.
Okay, before we go into what the guidelines and requirements for A&D Mortgage are, we would like to just look into other competitors where they are asking for. In terms of credit scores, some lenders require the foreign national to have some type of credit history, either in the US with FICO score from 620 or 680 minimum, or having a international credit report. Visa types, there is a variety. They have restricted visas in which they can lend money for foreign nationals. Employment history, some lenders require foreign nationals to have a stable employment history, and that's the only program that they can offer. Down payment requirements, some lenders require 40% down. Some do now 25%, but mostly they are very strict on then provide a large down payment before the financing kicks in. Next slide. Visa and passport documentation, they require to have a valid visa and passport, and they restrict to certain countries to be able to finance properties. As I mentioned, income verification, they go by tax returns in the original country and no other alternative documentation. We just review credit history and bank statements, assets specifically. Some lenders require them to have the down payment and any type of reserves or closing costs to be seasoned and sourced in the United States for the last 60 days. And they will require additional documentation.
So when it comes to the mortgage options, there are many types of programs, many types of interest rates, and many types of numbers that you could stick into a loan. But these are like the main ones. So it's the fixed rate mortgages, the adjustable rate mortgages, the interest only jumbo loans, and the four national programs, which the four national programs trickle down into the fixed rate and the adjustable rate. The fixed rate is, well, the try and true. It's the most stable one out of all of them because it's a very predictable loan over the 30 years. You could go from anywhere from 15 to 30. So it all depends on what your interest is for your borrower or what the borrower wants. The adjustable rate, we saw this a lot before the pandemic when interest rates were a little bit better than today's. So it's that people or the foreign nationals had a mindset that they wanted to acquire their properties as a pre-construction, okay, which took a year to 2 years for them to be able to build. And then they would have sold it off within a year or 2 years afterwards, just to retain the equity, to capture the equity in which they got in the pre-construction phase. Due to the fact that the adjustable rates at that time were a lot lower, but now with today's interest rates, it's almost at par with the fixed rate, to be quite honest with you. Interest-only mortgages, it's good for people that are wanting to just maybe flip a property or just have it. They know that they're not going to be acquiring the property for a very long time or having it, so therefore they just pay the interest, and later on the road, they sell it or refinance it for what they need. We see a lot of these when it comes to properties that need to be put money into, because they know that a lot of the programs don't allow them to have it as a fixed or adjustable rate. And for the jumbo loans, well, it's a case-by-case scenario. Jumbo loans normally have a more of an average rate than the higher one. The more the money, the lower the interest rate in its given sense. So.
Okay, now we go into what A&D Mortgage offers for foreign national borrowers. We have two different options in terms of programs. Let's talk about the foreign national full doc. But before we go that, it's important to mention that we do not require the foreign national to have a FICO score. In cases that the foreign national has established credit in the U.S., we require minimum credit score of 660. FICO score could be 0, and the max LTV that we can go on a full income is 75%. We finance up to $2 million. We allow under this program a cash out. The cash in hand can be up to $1 million. For us, the foreign income, it would be for self-employed. It's just an accountant letter overseas stating the income for the last 2 years and the year to date. For a wage earner foreign national, we allow a letter from the employer stating the date that the borrower started working for the company, the current position, the last 2 years' income, and the year-to-date income. That's what A&D Mortgage consider full income for a foreign national. In terms of credit, we just require one bank reference letter showing that the borrower has opened an account at least for a minimum of 24 months. If the borrower has a U.S. account, you can use the U.S. account bank reference letter or the overseas bank reference letter. We allow gifts after the borrower's on contribution for foreign income, which will be 25%, or 30% for the next program that we are going to talk about, which is the DACR. Our foreign nationals can buy mixed-use properties or multifamily properties up to 8 units. One of the things that I want to point it out is that all documentation that is in a foreign language must be translated by a certified translator. It's that very important to take in consideration when you are submitting loans to A&D Mortgage. And the most popular program that we use for foreign nationals is the DACR, Debt Service Cover Ratio, that they can just come back with a minimum of down payment of 30%, which in this program, there is no income of employment on the application. What we require for this program is an accountant letter overseas stating that the borrower owns a primary residence, or if the borrower already have a property in the U.S., we just require to have proof that they own a property in the U.S. For them applies also the one bank reference letter if they don't have a credit established in the U.S. They can use in a cash out transaction, they can use the cash out for reserves, because we require 12 months reserves for foreign nationals. Their reserves that don't need to be in a U.S. bank account, it could be overseas. And in terms of down payment, A&D Mortgage does not require to have the assets in the U.S. Season and source for 60 days. They can transfer the money directly from their overseas bank to the title company, wire the money directly. One of the other things important about the DACR is that we allow certain foreign nationals that they have restricted, they are restricted to finance properties in the U.S., like Venezuelans, Russians, and Ukrainians can finance loans with us under the DACR program. Next slide.
It's a beautiful program, Lucy. All right, so when it comes to the application process, this is my favorite part, because this is where you start coming to the nitty-gritty, talking to borrowers and getting and structuring their loan how they're supposed to be. So for the qualification, we always want to be capturing the most documentation possible. Once you learn the flow, it's just the visa, the passport, the income verification, and the bank reference letter. And then after that, we'll get them pre-approved. When it comes to submitting the application, I always recommend as a loan officer to run the credit report, even though they don't have one, if they say. But I've came into the situation that sometimes the borrower came into the States. They went shopping and they got a credit card. Back in the day, a lot of these foreign nationals are older people. So 20 years ago, they could have gone to Gap, and Gap said, you know what, you're a foreign national, but you can still apply for a credit card. And they got the credit card. They used it once or twice, and they forgot about it. And then 10 years afterwards, they have a bad credit report. Why? Because they didn't pay their credit card. And then they say, oh, I didn't even realize it was such a long time ago, but it's good to know, because that could ruin your transaction. And Lucy knows that this is a real scenario that happened. So always pull a credit report, even if they don't have one. Lucy, correct me if I'm wrong, a person that has a foreign national that comes and has a credit score, they only need one bureau, not all three.
Correct.
Is that correct? One will be more than sufficient.
That's okay.
Okay, good.
Yes.
So you don't have to have all three, so don't be scared if that happens to you. But the part that I love to work with A&D Mortgage, it's that they're very lenient when it comes to, obviously, the paperwork. When it comes to the credit, you have just one credit reference number. When it comes to the assets, they could be in a foreign country for 60 days and then transferred over to the title company, which a lot of lenders don't have that perk of having. And it makes, everything that much easier. So that's the next slide.
Okay, tips for success. One other thing is trust and communication. It is important, very important for you as loan originators to be able to have an open communication with your foreign national borrower. Why? Because every single country has a different culture on how they manage their financials, especially when it comes to assets. We have some hiccups here and there, and it's just because we don't understand their culture and we cannot anticipate certain things that probably if you were able to find out that before submitting the loan, it will be something that you can instruct and educate your borrower to get it done. There are certain countries that they don't allow transfers or wires directly from the bank account through the title company or their account in the US. So there are certain restrictions that is important for you to know and you to communicate with your account executive, where we can give you advices on how legally have done this transaction. Seek lenders and its professional experience for a national mortgage. It is important. It's important for you to have an open communication with your AE who can help you to structure deals, because as I mentioned before, and I can emphasize more, every single country has a different way to handle things. And for the foreign national, they believe that coming into United States and buy a property, things can done their way, and it's not. And it's sad to see all the effort that you as a loan originator put into getting a transaction done, and at the last minute, there is something that it rinses completely because the way that they are transferred or moving money or getting money done. Assets is a critical aspect for when you deal with foreign nationals. Documentation is important for you to gather the documentation, as Julian mentioned to you. One thing is what they tell you, and another thing is when you see documents. And since you need to make sure with A&D Mortgage that the documentation needs to be translated, sometimes that is the easiest way not to translate too many pages. So it's important for you to have a communication with your account executive and review the documentation before you submit the loans. Sure. Mortgage solutions. We have different options. We also offer exceptions in some cases for foreign national loans. Illegal and tax consideration. That comes in place what it's when your foreign national asks you to be closed under a personal name or under a corporation. So even though you can be a financial consultant, it's important also to advise your foreign national to get legal or accounting consultation with expertise, and you have a team of people helping your foreign national. This is a very good niche to generate business. I'm telling you, there are a lot of foreign nationals that are waiting for someone to be able to help them, guide them how to invest money in the US because of the currency exchange. For them, that additional income that they can generate by buying real estate in the United States is something that I like. Julian can tell you that he has clients that when they buy the first property, they want to continue buying other properties because they have the assets 100%. To buy more properties, but they didn't know how to do it. So it's important for you to explore, not to be afraid, because it's not that difficult to bring business from other countries to buy real estate in the United States.
100%. And also, just to add on and tag along to what Lucy said, the foreign national market is a huge market. Just look at look up on a map and see how big South America is. There's so many people there that have so much wealth and so much money that they're wanting to invest in the States, but they don't have the team. In South America and Central America, mostly, that's what we work with a lot. So that's why I'm putting that as so much as an example. But they're very tight groups, and they want a person that's trustworthy enough to be able to help them out here in the States. And unfortunately, what I've tackled a lot with the borrowers that have come to me, it's that a lot of loan officers give them the wraparound because there's so many different lenders that promise so much, but they really don't deliver. So that's why I love to work with Lucy. I love to work with A&D Mortgage because they make the process so much easier. And again, like she said, there's a lot of exceptions. So just the bad thing is not asking the question. There's always a solution for something. There's always exceptions for everything. So when it comes to the legal and the tax consideration side, people love to be knowledgeable, and especially in a country that they have no knowledge about. So when you start advising them about closing under an LLC instead of closing under a personal name, etc., they're going to trust you even a lot more and then recommend you to more of their other friends. And that's where the word of mouth starts going along with each other. Also, you start building a relationship maybe with their friends that are accountants here in the States, and then they could give you also deals and just network the heck out of it.
Thank you, Julian, for the advice.
Of course.
Okay, and when we come, we also offer a good, excellent tool for foreign nationals that they cannot arrange to come to the United States and get the closing done. We do run closings, and it's a much easier process than what you think. You need to know ahead of the time that you are going to do a remote closing for your foreign national, that it will be approved for our compliance department, and your title company will work together with our closer and get this process done. And mention also that Julian has closed loans in different states for foreign nationals, not just in Florida. So that's the other beauty that A&D Mortgage allow you to do, and don't forget about that.
I've had borrowers tell me, Julian, I'm currently in Cancun with my family. I won't be able to make it to the closing. I'm like, oh my gosh, don't worry, we have you, we got you. We have the run closings. You could close on a beach with no problem. Just set up the time and we'll do it. And they've closed in a different country, and it's been a huge perk, obviously for us and to get everything done. Only thing is that don't expect it's a longer process, to be honest, when it comes to closing, because they would need to sign the note originally and then ship it out to us directly, and that could take a few days on the shipping. But it's definitely saving them money, and a lot better to save you time as well for them to come to the States and close, especially when the times on the contracts are very critical. Okay, so this is a case study that is very generic, but I would like to say something on my side by experience. So let's talk about a borrower that he was Colombian. He was investing here in the States. So he had his company here in the States already established. He had it for 2 years. He had no income on it because he didn't have an accountant to do the taxes correctly. He had a credit score, okay, because he had a company already established. He had already purchased a couple of properties here. He had his money in Colombia, and he had it stuck in Colombia just because he didn't want to exchange it at the rate that it was, because it was pretty high. So what we did, it's that he was self-employed. He had a company in Colombia as well. He transferred it to the States, and then we were using the income in which he was generating in Colombia, and we got him qualified for that one. It was a pre-construction with Lennar. Then afterwards, he started trickling the assets from his Colombian account over to his business account here, depending on how the exchange rate was going to go. Because A&D Mortgage allows us to source and also to transfer it from country to country, as long as we could get a paper trail of the money, we were able to accumulate everything else. For him to do the 25% down payment, and then the other 5% that he needed to be able to close it came from a family member in the States as a gift. So he had a credit score here in the States. He had only one. It was it was actually a 680, and we were able to rescore him because he had just one credit card. He paid down the debt. We rose it up to 720, and we dropped the rate by 0.5 point and got a couple of exceptions, granted, because of that. So it's a dream team. If you could structure it correctly, will be able to close it with no problem.
Let's move to a different case. As Julian saying, I would like to mention instead of this case, another closing that a broker had with a borrower from Brazil. In Brazil, they have difficulties transferring money from their account in Brazil to their account in the US. The money has to be withdrawn from that account, bring the money to a currency exchange company, and that currency exchange company will transfer the money, wire the money to the bank account or the title company. In this case, was to the title company. It's very important to maintain the paper trail because you need to provide the underwriter all the paper trail to make sure that the currency exchange, it really matches what it will come here, because there are some fees involved in the transaction. So it is very important to maintain all the paperwork, and it's something that you need to please emphasize that to your borrower to maintain and provide you all that. This was a wrong closing that we did because it was an emergency that he had with a family member that passed away. So he couldn't make it and come to the closing, but we were able to close it. As Julian mentioned, the only restriction on that is that we won't fund the loan until the original note it's in our office and is validated by our funder, and immediately you will be able to fund the loan.
Exactly. And I have one more thing to add to everything. And Lucy, correct me if I'm wrong. A lot of these entities in South America, for people that are, or around the world in general, a lot of them are bilingual. So when a person is not self-employed and they work for a company, the company's HR also could generate you the income documentation in English. So you could always ask your borrower for them to ask their HR to translate it into English, because they do have the format for them, and automatically saving your borrowers the money, because it's expensive to be able to translate it with a certified translator, and will get the document a lot faster. That saves you also time in the pipeline.
That's correct.
Yes. So any questions?
Yeah, so we had a question here from Tien. Do the foreign national borrowers need to change their current currency to US dollars in their bank account in their country to qualify for the reserves?
No, they do not. And Lucy could correct me on that.
Yeah, no. Underwriter will do it here. And also, since if the assets are in the original language, the translator, the certified translator, when they translate the documents, they will put the currency, so that you don't have to require that. I only have seen one bank, I guess, in all my life that they are able to provide bank statements in English or a currency language, and I think it was in Peru that I got that transaction.
And I've also seen that as well. And one little very big tip, it's that especially in those countries that the currency fluctuates, remember that every day the currency goes up and down. So don't go based on what the translated document says, because that rate might have been from 2, 3, 4 days ago. And now if you go on Google and just search up what the currency exchange rate is today, it might be a lot higher. So they'll yield a lot higher in the bank account than what the document really says. So always make sure to go on Google and search up the currency exchange rate for that one day specifically.
Okay. All right. And somebody was asking about some samples for the CPA and bank statement.
On our website, we have sample letters for all the type of letters that we require in our programs. Please get with your account executive, and he will be able to show you and navigate you on our website where you can find all these resources and sample letters we do provide. They're available in English and in Spanish.
I would like to add one thing, and it's not a paid marketing, but in my many years of translating documents and everything with the foreign nationals, I found one specific website to work very, very well as a rush. I've had Lucy call me. It's like, Julian, I need this document translated. I've had it certified in less than 2 hours as a rush. And it works for everything. So it's called the Spanish Group. If you go on Google, just put the Spanish Group. It's a great company. They're very efficient when it comes to it, and they're certified in all languages.
Thank you. Thank you for the tip.
There more questions, or come on, we're not going to bite. We're here to answer. And I know Lucy likes to talk too, so.
Yeah, as I mentioned also, take advantage that A&D Mortgage offers you to be able to close loans in investment loans for foreign national in other states without you having license in other states. So that's another thing. If the prices of real estate in Florida are too expensive, you can be able to create a group with realtors in other states where we are approved. You can check that on our website, and we have different states where you, without a license, can finance loans for your foreign national borrowers.
As investments.
Investment, yes. Foreign
Investment,
nationals,
as
they only
yeah,
can buy
as investments.
investment.
I just like to put it out there.
Yeah, you're right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Carl? I know there are questions, but I cannot read them.
Let me step in, as I think Carl is having issues with his internet connection. So we just received another question. Where can I get an application to start working with A&D Mortgage?
Okay, you can send me an email, lucy.mantilla@admortgage.com. Lucy is Lucy Mantilla, LLA@admortgage.com, or you can just type your phone number and somebody from the group who send it to me, and I will be more than happy to give you a call today and send you our broker package.
We have another question from the audience. So Randy Mills is asking, you kept saying different companies at the beginning of the webinar. What were you meaning? Different investors?
It broke out. I'm so sorry.
Okay, let me repeat the question. So Randy is asking, you kept saying different companies at the beginning of the webinar. What were you meaning? Different investors?
Different companies in which scenario? What I was stating, it's that you could open up different companies in the States per every property that you acquire. So it's always recommended to have one primary one primary company, and then per every other company that you open up, it's a different property, if that makes any sense.
What Julian is trying to say is when a foreign national buy more than one property for tax purposes or liabilities, it's his advice to his clients is to open an LLC or Inc. corporation per each property that they are purchasing in the US. Most likely, I think that's what it was. Mm-hmm.
That's exactly, yes.
Carl, are you here with us? Okay, then let me proceed just with the wrap up. So as we don't have any other questions right now, you can always contact us and ask other questions if you have them in mind, and we'll definitely help you. Also, we wanted to invite you to stay engaged with A&D Mortgage, and you can scan this code. But again, we'll be sending out the final presentation to all the participants so you can see all the slides afterwards. And Lucy, maybe you want to cover this slide as well, because you'll let attendees know why we should work with A&D Mortgage.
Okay, streamlined loan programs. Our streamlined loan process provides brokers with industry-leading turn times, ensuring you are always ahead of the competition. Our turnaround time for underwriting is pretty good. Once you submit the loan, we provide disclosures in 24 hours. Our loans are approved in 72 hours, and every time that you submit conditions to our underwriters, there is a turnaround of 24 hours. We have a 24 hours quality control to issue CTC, and then you have between 24 hours and 48 hours for closings. Our account executives are always on top of what have been updated on our guidelines. So I highly recommend you always work together with your account executive to get the most and have the better experience and a smooth transition for every loan. Our account executive and Anna as an account executive always work together as a team with our underwriters, with our closing department, trying to give you the best experience possible and trying to have the most smooth transaction, so you bring more business to A&D Mortgage, and you also being able to offer more business and feel comfortable working with a lender that it really delivers what it promised. Carl can take over. Oh, okay.
Okay, so we have the A&D Mortgage blog as well. Please refer to it, as we have a lot of useful information over there. And the next slide shows our upcoming webinars. We also publish it on our website, and you can see other different topics we're gonna cover in the nearest future. So please stay tuned for this one. And again, we welcome all of you to become an A&D partner, and I'm pretty sure you'll be happy to work with us. So with this being said, I want to thank you for joining this webinar today. Again, we'll be sending out the recording together with the presentation slides to everyone in the next 24 hours. And happy holidays to everyone.
Happy holidays, and thank you so much, Julian, for joining us today.
Well, it's a pleasure for you guys to have me here, and well, thank you for the opportunity. Okay,
thank you.
And guys, you're never gonna not find greater people than you guys. So thank you so much.
Thank you.